All right,
Sorry,
everybody,
just get it going.
you ready to crack into it, Lil?
I'm ready to crack into it.
All right, hello all and welcome back to Dynamic Character Productions for another exit interview for Survivor Monte Carlo. I am one of the hosts, Ian Moorhead, joined as always by my co-host, Morgan Jackson. Morgan, good evening. How are you?
Doing great. In case you haven't been keeping track, tomorrow is my last day of school. So I'm very excited. And our end of the year staff party is Survivor themed tomorrow. And I have been asked to be the Jeff Probst of the festivities. So I might have to post a picture of my outfit in the Facebook group chat for everybody to enjoy.
That's great.
Hey, hosting Survivor and end of school year. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, right?
That's right.
And as always, we are joined by our mayor of the exit interview, Lilly Petzold. Lilly, how are you?
I'm good. I'm ready to crack into it.
Okay, well, tonight you're going to be cracking into it with our 6th place finisher, Mrs. Kiley Kelly. Kiley, how are you?
Oh, it would be better if I wasn't talking to y'all now. So, no, I'm doing good.
Maybe
ready to talk about it.
Yeah, maybe in a couple weeks. That's
Yeah.
when you're ready to talk. Yeah.
But it is what it is. I'm excited to, just talk about this game and everything that's happened.
Sweet. Well, Lilly, crack away.
To start off with, like, not a typical first question, but I'm interested. What do you think was different about Monte Carlo? Because you placed first and second in your other game and then 6th in this one. What do you think happened differently this time to make such a, I mean, not that 6th to 2nd first is drastic, but it is a little bit different than what you were.
Yeah, I mean, this was my first time being voted out of the game. So
yeah,
a little bit disappointing because I wanted to, actually, whenever I applied for this game, I was hoping that I had won my 2nd game and that I was coming in with 2 first place finishes, but we're not going to talk about that. Yeah, I mean, I think if we want to get into specifics, honestly, I think that, and I know that there's a question out there about, was it easy to play with somebody that I knew with Mike? And to be honest, like, if Mike wasn't here, which, we applied for the game at the same time. I mean, we intentionally tried to get cast together, but if I was playing the game without Mike, I think I probably could have done better.
Why do you think you would have done better? Do you think you had to put your neck out on the line for Mike? I'm just wondering, because that's what he said in his exit.
I'm sorry, say it again.
That's what in Mike's exit, he said that you had really gone out of your way to save him.
Yeah, there was a couple times where I did have, at the Kyle vote, I had to flip everybody from voting Mike out to voting Kyle out. And then also at the merge, if I would have stayed Dworkin strong and just stuck with that plan and not, rallied the troops, Mike would have probably been the merge vote. So those things, but I mean, I think what ultimately sets it up is we ended up kind of going with the people that Mike was closer to, with Victoria and McKenna, which, I had a great relationship with McKenna. Didn't have as much of one with Victoria, but, definitely we should have gone with the people I was closer to, which would have been Parker and Margaret. And I think going that route versus going the route that we did greatly changes the game. And it changes the game really well in my favor, because where we see McKenna and Victoria turn on Mike and in essence turn on me, I don't think we have Margaret and Parker, who are, like, loyal to the soil, great people. No, not that Victoria and McKenna aren't great people, but you know what I mean? Like, you don't see those two people. I don't see it in them to turn on somebody that they've worked with the whole time. And so I think that if we had gone that route and had possibly like a final 5 of me, Mike, Will, Margaret, and Parker, I think that it can shake out a lot differently.
Yeah, I think you make a good point. Like the Margaret, Parker versus McKenna, Victoria. I mean, who knows? Maybe you still don't make it to the end, but I agree. I mean, you you make it to 5, and then who knows, they might vote you out and they might not. You never know. Because it's hard to kind of read more loyal players like that, because they would have had to vote somebody out. So like at that point, who is it? I would assume it's probably Mike at 5, and then you're
or Will.
And then anything can happen. So
do you think that because, the kind of mini scramble round is where we saw Parker go out, did you have it in your mind to try to get out Victoria or McKenna at that point in time? Or do you think like if it had been like a regular paced round, it maybe would have gotten there? Or was it always
no, in my ideal scenario, in that 30-minute scramble, I wanted to get rid of Michael. I'd kind of made up my mind that I needed Michael to go, and that's because I knew once we left Michael out of a couple votes that it just wasn't going to happen, that I kind of severed that relationship with him. And I knew how smart Michael was and that he was a really good player, and so I was like, he's got to go. And unfortunately, in that 30-minute scramble, like the way McKenna edited it is exactly how it happened. I mean, we got into the breakout rooms and Will says a name within 15 seconds. And as soon as he says it, you don't even have a time to have any type of discussion, because the only other name that would have really been up probably would have been Michael's. And Michael immediately comes in the room. And I was like, oh, damn, you know what I mean? Because all of the people that I wanted to be in a room with, we were all there together. And he says Parker's name, and that is what stuck. And as soon as that conversation kicks off with him saying Parker's name, I get pulled into a confessional and I'm gone for like 10 minutes. And so by that point, the only 2 names out there are Will and Parker. And, 2 of the people that I wanted to work with so closely in the merge. And there was almost no scenario where I would have written Parker's name down, except going against Will or Mike, because I had given Will and Mike my word, like, these are the 2 people that I'm going to work most closely with. And Will is the one that said Parker's name and Parker said Will's name. So, it was really rock in a hard place, and I did not want to vote Parker out there at all. So that hurt.
I want to back up a second. You had said that if you hadn't have flipped, essentially, it would have set you up better. Who do you think would have gone at the merge if you had gotten the numbers your way to vote out not Andrew?
So, I mean, in a scenario where Mike is not in this game at all, and there's just a random other person, or Mike?
Let's say with Mike, yeah.
With Mike, yeah. If I don't have the relationship with Mike and Mike is still who he is, then yeah, I think Mike is probably the merge vote. Connor wanted him so badly. Jonathan wanted him out badly. Michael wanted him out. I mean, Andrew wanted him. I mean, there was a big target on his back, and it would have been so easy to just, that, puts the numbers even better in my favor if I'm not working closely with Mike. And I wouldn't have stuck my neck out for anybody else on the Serpone tribe. If we would have come in with the numbers and they would have said somebody else's name, probably could have just let things happen. But
was there any point in the game you had considered voting Mike, especially like at the vote right before the merge, where you basically, as you mentioned, got the vote off of Mike onto Kyle? Had you considered any time in that vote, like, this is going to be my battle for the next 20 days if I keep at this? Or were you like, he's the one person I can trust, I have to keep him?
So no, would not ever write Mike's name down. And I really didn't want it to even just, okay, I can vote for somebody else, throw my vote off and just let it happen. We wanted to play the game together, and to that point we hadn't really gotten to, because we were on different tribes, and we figured that the merge was going to happen next. So that close to the merge, like, I'm obviously going to stick my neck out and do what I can to flip it. So no, wouldn't have ever voted Mike out.
Yeah, that's valid. And I do want to ask, because I feel like you played a very social game. Like most people, especially pre-merge, right at merge, they all had very good feelings. Wow, I'm sorry, I can't speak. And in the one world phase, we hear a lot of like, Kiley's awesome, Kiley's awesome. So before the merge, we hear Andrew, Margaret, Parker, all kind of want to work with you. I think even Michael says it at some point. Was there anybody on your original tribe that you, if you could have had a final two with, Mike isn't in this scenario, who would it have been?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So that's hard. So in the very beginning One World phase, I did have a instant connection with Will. And then, we see Will and Nick do all their crazy stuff. And obviously, at our very first vote, I was not going to try to get it off of Nick. Like, they had already decided, like he got saved and made it into the tribe phase. And then, whenever the majority of the people were in that, vote that didn't get to happen and they wanted Nick, like, that was going to happen. And Will was so closely associated with that. And so if we had gone back to tribal, like the next, after the next immunity challenge, it probably would have been Will, because I don't think that at that point, the second round of the game, I would not have, even though I love Will and I wanted to work with him, I don't know if I could have done it right then. So it's hard to say. Like, I would say that it would either have been Will or probably Margaret that I would have wanted to have gone like final two with. I think strategically, Will and I had more conversation, and ways to flip votes and, who we thought we could pull in and whatnot. Whereas Margaret and I just had a great friendship. So probably Will.
So did that make Margaret's vote difficult? Because we mentioned the Parker vote, and then Margaret is kind of left on the out. So tell me about the Margaret vote and this like plan to get Michael that doesn't really work out. What do you think went wrong here?
Oh man, so Jonathan went wrong here. And we haven't seen it very much in the episodes, but I also have a really, really good friendship with Jonathan. Not much of a working game relationship with him, because we did a lot of times kind of want different things. But before that vote, I remember having a conversation with Jonathan. I was cooking dinner and he was like, I just feel like something's fixing to happen, which at the time, I don't know that Victoria's telling him everything. But I just feel like something's going to happen and y'all aren't going to vote Margaret out. And I just want Margaret out this round. And I felt about Margaret the same way I did Parker. I was like, there's no way I'm going to write Margaret's name down. It's not going to happen. And so, yes, we were working very, very hard to get the vote off of Margaret and onto Michael. And I kind of lost what the question was.
No, you're good.
Yeah. So I did end up writing Margaret's name down, but it was literally a last minute thing. We tried so hard. McKenna and I were supposed to kind of get Margaret last minute to try to get her to write Michael's name down. And then 5 minutes before tribal council, McKenna's like, I don't think we can do it. We don't, the numbers aren't there. I'm like, what? Yes, they are. But no, so they were like, no, it's not going to happen. We're not going to write Michael's name down. We're going to write Margaret. And so I did send Margaret a message, like, as tribal council is starting, and was like, you're effed. Like, you're done. I don't want you to be blindsided, but you just need to know that you're getting voted out. And so, I went along with it and, was like, see, Jonathan, I told you I was going to vote Margaret out all along. But no, nothing in me wanted to write Margaret's name down.
Mm-hmm.
I want to chat about those two votes, the Margaret one and the Will one, where it's like back to back of McKenna being like last minute, hey. Like the first one, you already mentioned it. It's like a fever dream. Like she is like, we don't have the numbers, and literally everybody that can count is looking and going at the screen like, wait, there's 9 people. There's 1, 2, 3,
5 votes.
Like, how does that make sense? And everyone just kind of like goes along with it. And then the second time.
Yeah. So the first time it happens, it is happening right before tribal council. And I'm like, I'm livid. Like, are you shitting me that we are doing this right now? I do not like this. And I'm, pretty pissed. And this is where I'm really like, damn it, Mike, like these are your people and they screwed us over and we voted out my two people right back to back when we should have gone a different direction. And so I am not happy with McKenna and Victoria. And then, okay, next round comes along once again. We're supposed to vote out actually McKenna for the longest time. And then, Mike, once again, my best friend Mike is like, hey, I've been on a call with McKenna and Victoria and they'll do Michael. And I was like, no, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. And I am like messaging our chat with me and Mike and Will. And I'm like, hell no, they're not going to do this. This is so stupid. We're going to look like idiots. And, they're like, is everybody in? I'm like, oh, damn it. Okay, sure, we're in. And I'm like, this is not gonna happen. And I'm like messaging them, like, no, this isn't a good plan. And we're getting bamboozled. And we did. So yeah, great move on their part, especially the chaos minutes before tribal council. I mean, literally happening like as we're supposed to be logging in to tribal.
Yeah, so I know I've mentioned this before, but I'm in all of the Facebook chats. So like I'm watching this. We always called it the live feeds. I would like pull up my Facebook chat and share it with our production team. And we would just watch all of these conversations happening like as we're waiting for all of you guys to show up to tribal council. And it was so fun watching it.
Yeah,
just,
I
like,
mean, and I'm pretty sure y'all were like, get to tribal council right now. And I'm like, this is a terrible plan. This is not gonna work.
I was just gonna say, like, there had to have been more than a handful. Like, I mean, what do we have in the whole season? Like 13 or 14 tribals. There was at least 5 times where Morgan was like, get to tribal now. Cause there was like some conversation that we could see going on.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, this
Facebook
was
or some Zoom link or something, but
I feel like if McKenna like flashed up like a time, it would be, like 9:29 p.m. And tribal council's in 1 minute. I mean, we are literally having this conversation, putting our hands in, all in 1 minute before we go into tribal council. And I am like at the same time messaging Mike and Will, like, no, this is a freaking terrible plan. This is not gonna work. So great move on McKenna's part and Victoria. Both of them. Good for them.
I think that makes sense because in what inevitably becomes the round where you get voted out after Mike's, you go for McKenna. And as a viewer, we can see, right, that she's on the bottom and her name has been out there multiple times. Was there ever an instance in that round you thought about working with McKenna, or after all these shenanigans?
No, I tried. So I tried really, really hard in the round that I went home. And honestly, the round before that, when Mike goes home, I watched his exit interview today, and he voiced that he was not on board with me telling Jonathan about our relationship. But I was like, Mike, we cannot trust Victoria and McKenna. I hope you realize this, but we're not going to get our asses played by them for the 3rd time. So we have to go somewhere else. And there's only 7 people at that point left in the game. Okay, we've burned the bridge with Victoria and McKenna. We've burned the bridge with Michael. We've written his name down 2 times in a row. And so there's only 2 other people. One of them is Connor, which, I have said a few times, like, yes, I worked with Connor, but I didn't have a great relationship with him. And I think that's mostly an age thing. I'm old enough to be Connor's mother, so it is a little bit hard to just, strike up a conversation with him when there's such an age gap. And so the person that is left is Jonathan. And do I think Jonathan's going to necessarily go with us? Hell no, but he's our best choice. And especially whenever I know I have a great personal relationship with Jonathan. And so might as well, we have nothing to lose. Like, at least if we show him our cards, like, hey, here we are. If you want 2 people that will vote with you, like, we're a duo, take us with you. So that was kind of my thinking there. And so the round that I end up going home, I think I go to McKenna and was like, McKenna, you're on the bottom. Like, I understand y'all have a 5, but I'm telling you right now, you're at the bottom of that 5. And I think at that point I was trying to pull her in to maybe work with Jonathan, like, let's vote with Jonathan and you need to vote out Victoria. And I think I had the same conversation with Victoria and told her the same thing. Like, you're on the bottom. They're gonna keep McKenna over you. You've played too similar of a game. Y'all are a duo. You're gonna be targeted next. Come with me. And then I did the same thing with Connor. And I told Connor, like, Connor, you are not going to beat Michael. Remember this conversation. But if you're sitting at the end with Michael, like, he's going to get all of the Rukin votes. You need to come along with me and you need to vote out Michael. And, we see Connor where he has the confession where he's like, Kiley cannot dictate whose name to throw out. And I'm like, I have no choice but to try to throw out a name to get you on board with it. And I was hoping that he could see the logic behind why he needed to get rid of Michael. So I tried really hard with everybody.
Yeah, Kiley, you were on elimination row. You should have been listening to Connor the whole time.
One of my favorite things as a viewer, right? Because we get like maybe 0.5% in an episode of what actually goes on in those 2 or 3 days that it covers. So we haven't seen a lot of Michael really as a viewer up to this point. What gave him such a high winning equity in both you and Mike's mind? And because we see it a lot in your reasoning to keep you guys around. No one can beat Michael. Use us to get Michael out. But it seems like nobody else is worried about Michael. Why do you think you guys are on the opposite side of that?
So I was with Michael the whole game. Every swap, Michael and I were never on a different tribe. He is so funny, and it's just a natural wit that probably doesn't come across, in his confessionals and stuff. But like, my favorite moment of Michael was when we were doing the challenge and he was like, we can kick their ass. And he like says it in front of everybody. And that's just, he's so likable and easygoing and just extremely easy to get along with. And so I was like, he didn't flip on Andrew. He didn't flip on Parker. He didn't flip on Margaret. I feel like he already has those 3 votes locked in. And if he gets to the end, I mean, y'all are fools. You've got to take Michael out of the game because he's going to have, 4 or 5 votes easy. And so that's why a lot of it of, hey, let's target him. And, he's extremely intelligent. He knows the game. He knows Survivor. I don't know why he wasn't viewed as a bigger threat to anybody besides me and Mike.
And there's one more person I wanted to ask about, which is like the big question, right? Jonathan. Why? I don't know. I guess he seems to have drawn you in from when he swapped to Rukin.
Yeah.
How do you why do you think that happened? And why was your last ditch effort to go to Jonathan? I guess you kind of already explained that, but anything extra on that?
So I mean, I think it probably started more in like the, very beginning phase. Jonathan and I we hit it off. We don't have a lot in common on paper. He's a casting director that lives in Canada and I'm a stay-at-home mom from Texas. On paper we probably don't have a lot in common, but we just got on a call and it was like talking to a friend and very easy to talk to. I just adore Jonathan, and I like to play a little villainous, but by the same token, I think the people that I feel close to, I do try to be as loyal to them as I can. And even though I had played many rounds with other people, I just felt a super strong connection to Jonathan, as a friend. And so,
yeah,
probably why I was drawn to him.
I mean, we talked to Mike, just the other day, like how you kind of mentioned, like Mike's kind of a little bit of like an unwavering loyalty to McKenna. Like, why are we still trusting her? Like, he kind of had the same thing to say about you and Jonathan, where it was like, why, like, you guys just couldn't necessarily agree on who to trust. And at that point, there really was no one. But it was funny to see like,
Yeah.
you put your trust in Jonathan and he not like it, and he put his trust in McKenna and you not like it. And it was like, there's nothing to like.
And honestly, like that could have, now getting to see Victoria and Jonathan's relationship from the beginning, but that might have been part of what kept Jonathan and I from being able to get on the same page game wise, is because I knew his feelings about Mike always. And as much as at the especially at the beginning of the merge, I tried to play neutral with Mike, like, yeah, let's keep him around for a couple of rounds and then we can vote him off because he's such a big threat, even though I knew that was never going to do that. I think that's probably what kept Jonathan and I from being able to be on the same page strategically, is because he was anti-Mike and I'm pro-Mike.
That will do it. Yeah. Well, I just have a last question. If anybody else has any before we go to other Castaway questions, but if you could play in another game, whether it be in real life or org, with 2 people from this cast, who would you pick and why?
Ooh, okay. So like now seeing people's games, I'm gonna choose Mike, obviously. We've done it twice in an org. Why not go for a trifecta or a live game? That would be really awesome. But maybe I would want to play with Victoria.
Do you feel like there was a missed opportunity with Victoria?
Yeah, I have sent her a message after getting to watch her, like behind the scenes she's like so cutting in her confessionals, which I love, where she's like, I'm tired of them, saying that I'm not playing the game, and that's because, I'm fixing to vote your ass off. So love that from her. But, she's very strategic. She's smart, but she's under the radar. She's so loyal to Jonathan. Yeah, so that's somebody I would want to play with.
I think that's good. You have like your meat shield of Mike, right? And then the real goal is just to get you and Victoria to the end.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, we ready for some questions from the cast?
Yes, I refrained from reading them so that I could answer as genuinely as I can.
Well, we have a lot. There's a lot of people that
fun.
asked you some questions.
Okay.
So with timing of recording this, we are filming this the same night as the episode, so we didn't get to post it in Facebook. So we asked the cast if they had any questions for Kiley. First one is from Margaret. Kiley, I love you. It was a privilege to become your friend, even though you gaslit, gatekept, and girl bossed my game into the ground. I wish I had a game question, but I will instead just ask this. What's your top 3 food purchases? What your top 3 food purchases are when you stop at Buc-ee's?
Yeah.
AKA Heaven on Earth.
Yeah, she sent me a text and said that she was like, I say Buc-ee's in case Morgan can't pronounce it. So Buc-ee's is the greatest place on earth. It is expanding outside of Texas. So anybody that doesn't live in Texas, maybe you'll get, this heavenly place near you soon. But it is like the world's biggest gas station. I'm not even kidding you. It's probably like the size of a Walmart. And they have everything. They have home decor. They've got toys. You could do all of your Christmas shopping at Buc-ee's, and they've got food, they've got snacks. So my 3 favorite snacks at Buc-ee's are jalapeno peanut brittle, sea salt beaver nuggets, and probably like the cinnamon sugar pecans.
Okay, that sounds
okay, but what are beaver nuggets?
Oh my gosh. So beaver nuggets, I've got some in my car because I literally stopped at Buc-ee's 2 days ago. Beaver nuggets are like this kind of like cereal corn puff.
Okay.
They're sweet. They have like cinnamon sugar ones. They have sea salt caramel.
Oh, not beaver.
No,
I thought it was beaver meat.
There's the Buc-ee mascot is a beaver. So.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like beef jerky, but
oh, they have beef jerky too. Yeah. I mean, they have like walls and walls of snacks, and It's the best.
So at what point is this like just a mall with also a gas station? Like
it's almost there. It's I mean, and I tried to explain it to Mike, and he was like, "Oh, well, we've got Wawa or some shit in Philadelphia." And so I'm like Googling Wawa. I'm like, no. And so I had to FaceTime him from Buc-ee's just to show him like the massiveness that is Buc-ee's. So
we need a picture, I will say. The next time
Everything's
you
bigger
go.
in Texas. Everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Tejas.
Miles for all your miles.
Are you on their website?
I am on their website.
It's great. They have really great bathrooms also. Very clean.
Oh, that's good for the
That's
stop.
plus.
Yeah, big plus.
Big plus.
Yeah, that is a big place. Wow.
It's huge.
Morgan's lost in their website.
It's great. It's the greatest place on earth. I mean, you could, better than Disney World. You could literally go in and spend.
Do they have roller coasters there?
No roller coasters yet. But so the one that's
Yet.
closest to me is right outside of Dallas, and they built it like in the middle of nowhere. And it has popped up like a whole ass city around it. I mean, there's now like Starbucks and Whataburger and a movie theater and a bowling alley and hotels literally around Buc-ee's. And Buc-ee's was what brought all of this stuff to it. It's almost like a tourist spot. So
very interesting. All right.
The more you know.
All right. Next question is from Victoria. And we kind of have talked about this, but if I'll ask the question anyway. During the game, did you think that having Mike in the game was an advantage or a disadvantage? When looking back, do you have the same answer?
Ooh, okay. So it's both. Having somebody that you can trust implicitly, like I know there's no deceit coming from Mike. We had this same relationship in the first game that we got to play together, which was organic in that, we had never met. We didn't meet till the merge, and we came together and just instantly connected. And, we've kept up a friendship for a year, where, kind of the same thing as with Jonathan. I mean, he was this young guy from Philly, and I'm once again just a mom from Texas. And so having somebody that you can trust without having to question them is an extreme asset. And he's able to, without trying to spin anything, I know exactly what's happened on Serpone, and he's able to know exactly what's happened on Rukin. And even like in the vote with Kyle, I was able to say, hey, Jonathan thinks that you're going to throw your vote on him. Don't do it because Kyle's getting voted out. So throw your vote on somebody else, not on Jonathan. So, that part of it is an advantage, but then also a disadvantage because I do feel like, especially from the merge, that I played a lot of my game in save Mike mode. So, that part of it was a little bit of a disadvantage.
All right, next question is from Will. He said, Kiley, you're an amazing player and an amazing person. I'm so lucky I got to have the GOAT of orgs as my mentor for the first time. I feel like we had such a good connection in the one world aspect of the game, so I was most hurt by you blindsiding me on the Nick vote. If we had gone to tribal again as Ruken, would you have voted me out as the easy vote, or would you have tried to bring me in and vote someone else? Honest answers only. So I know you already said that if it was the very next round that you would have voted him out, but let's say it's like final 14, like the very last vote before the swap. You've had, I don't know, 10 days, maybe a week. I don't really know how much time, but to maybe change the dynamics a little.
Yeah, that's really, really hard. I would kind of like Margaret, the Margaret vote. I never wanted to write Margaret's name down. I would have felt the same about Will. It would have been hard. I don't know if I would have been able to flip basically a whole tribe, because at that point, how many people? 14. So, I mean, how many did we have on our tribe? 8?
You had 7.
7?
Because you had voted out Nick already.
I would have had to have gotten 4 people, so 2 other people besides me and Will. oh, that would have been really hard because the only person that I would have felt okay saying their name would have probably been Connor, and that is the one person Will was closest to. And so if Will was like, "Hey, we can save me, let's pull in Connor," I mean, I wouldn't have felt comfortable writing at that point Andrew, Margaret, or Parker's names down. So, oh God, I don't know. It would have been really, really hard.
I think we actually talked about this with Andrew and his exit because he had said like he wanted to work with Will, but he didn't have the chance to prove it. So do you think if you had to go to tribal, Will was like, anybody but me, I'll work with you. And Andrew came to you and said, I don't want to vote out Will. Let's figure
Yeah.
out. Do you think if you had Andrew with you, you could
Yeah, I
have done
think
it?
if I would have had somebody else from the majority, either Andrew, Parker, or Margaret say, let's save Will and let's get rid of somebody else, probably I could have gone along with that a little bit better. It would have been very, very hard to broach the topic of, hey, let's turn on somebody else. And I think maybe I probably could have done it and gotten them to vote Connor out. But I definitely wouldn't have been willing at that point to vote out Parker or Margaret or Andrew. So, God, it's hard, really hard. Glad it didn't happen like that.
All right. Next question is from Kyle. What is the best food item at a Texas barbecue?
Oh gosh. Okay. So, I mean, the Texas answer should be brisket, but to be honest, I don't get brisket that often. Best food. Okay. What I get at a barbecue restaurant does have some brisket, and I get like a chopped brisket and chopped sausage sandwich together. And it's called a mailman here. And you've got some good Texas barbecue sauce, and that's the way to go. So chopped brisket and chopped sausage. That's the way to do it.
The mailman. Nice. All right. This question is from McKenna Feeney, one of our production members and the one who edits all of the episodes that you've been watching. So she said, Kiley, I just want to preface this. It was not in game just while I was editing. This is the second season now where I couldn't wait for people to be voted out. In Exile Island, it was John and Mackenzie. And this season, it was you and Mike. Why? Because I will have to edit out 90% less F-bombs, and I'm so excited. But for real, you played hard, and it was always lovely getting to chat while Ian had to copy down your vote. My question is, aside from Mike, who on this cast would you like to be your amazing race partner if given the chance?
She said besides Mike?
Yeah.
Oh,
for the amazing race.
That's a hard one.
Yeah, that's so fun. Yeah, I would probably want it to be Jonathan. I think we could work well together. He's level-headed, smart, social. Yeah, he'd be a good one.
I was reading that question when she posted it, and I had to reread it. I was like,
yeah,
what is she asking? Like, is she like, why is she saying that Kiley was like not someone or someone that she wanted out? And then I was like,
oh geez, where's this question going?
I was like, wait,
yeah, I apologize.
Somehow deep down,
I feel like McKenna's like the person that she writes the way that she speaks. Yeah. And so sometimes you read it and it's like, wait, my brain did not process what she just said.
Well, I'm glad that she didn't just want me voted out just for the fun of it, but
I mean,
because of my potty mouth.
I got pretty good at writing those block letters, but man, that was every time you came in, I was like, ugh.
I will say that I have had someone message me and tell me that my penmanship is beautiful. So,
wow.
I got Michael, and then I was just like, you know what? I'm not rewriting it. I'm just keeping this Michael, and it looks good already.
It was a good plan. Good plan because I wrote it multiple times.
Next question is from Jonathan. Kiley, your social dominance was evident early on, which is why I picked you first in the tribe swap. Yet come final 8, you find yourself in the minority, which continues on for 2 more rounds until you're ultimately voted out. Do you attribute this to one big or maybe several smaller missteps? If so, what were they? So I know we already
Oh.
kind of talked about how you don't think you should have voted out Parker and Margaret.
Yeah,
But is there anything else?
honestly, like I think probably the biggest mistake and the one where I didn't listen to Mike and went with what I wanted to do was way back at that second swap, or the one where the two groups had to go together, and where we end up voting out Kyle. And I know how close Mike and Kyle were, and in hindsight should have pushed for Jonathan to be the one to be voted out. And that is probably the biggest mistake, because then we could have really had somebody that would have been extremely loyal. And maybe there, we're able to work with Kyle and Will and Parker and Margaret. And maybe the whole game goes differently from there.
Yeah, I think that would definitely change the landscape of things. And Kyle, I believe, would have been way more loyal to you guys than Jonathan ever was.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, and that really, that speaks to Jonathan's social game, because I didn't want to cut him strictly because I liked him.
All right, next questions from Parker. Kiley, I'm so thankful I got to know you through this game. Playing with you is so much fun. You're a wonderful person inside and out. Question 1, let's say the game played out how you ideally wanted it to. How deep into the game do you think you wanted to go with me? Whatever the answer is, I promise it won't hurt my feelings.
No, ideally I would have loved, like I said, my ideal final 5 would have been me, Will, Mike, Parker, and Margaret. So at least top 5. And then from there, who knows? I mean, it's so hard to say what happens at that point. If I'm able to just, transport us to the final 5. I don't know at that point what you do. I mean, that's hard, because then I'm like, oh, whose name do I even write down?
Mhm. All right, second question from Parker. At the first tribe swap at final 13, Ruken 2.0 ended up being you, Andrew, Connor, Jonathan, Michael, and Will. Let's say y'all happen to lose that challenge, and let's say Elijah joins Serpone 2.0. What do you think at the time your plan of action would have been had y'all gone to tribal that round instead of my tribe?
So first of all, I love you saying y'all.
Y'all.
It doesn't flow off your tongue very well. So
No.
he's saying we lost and Elijah joins us.
No, Elijah still joins Serpone.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's hard. I feel like it would have come down to Will or Jonathan, and I would not have gone against Will there, and voted out one of our original tribe members, especially whenever I did have a great connection with Will. So it would have been Jonathan.
Yeah.
From my point of view.
It's so interesting. You kind of pointed it out earlier, but like probably the only other option at that vote, just looking at what happened in that round and everybody's relationships, would have been Connor. But if you and Andrew are trying to bridge a gap for Will, like trying to get him to work with you, then like can't really vote out Connor. But like Andrew would have been like, I mean, he told us he was willing to vote out Connor. I mean, I think he even said in the episodes, maybe even with you, that like we like Jonathan. Like
Yeah.
which is telling for, later on in the game and what we've kind of seen in the last couple episodes. So yeah, it's super interesting. I mean, you don't get
in terms of, not having a relationship, Connor's the one that I would have chosen most times, but and I was worried about Connor because I knew that he was obviously capable of solving puzzles and having idols and stuff, and I feel like the longer you leave someone like that in, the bigger of a threat they become. And so I would have been on board with getting rid of Connor at any round. And so if the plan would have ever come to me, because I've talked about it with Parker, and he said that he would have been on board with voting out Connor at different stages. So I think that if it had come to me, I would have easily been on board for voting Connor. But probably in that scenario, I'm wanting to vote out Jonathan there, because I think that's the easiest thing to do.
All right, next question is from Mike. Kiley, first and foremost, thank you so much for being a great friend and the most loyal ally I've ever seen. I don't really have a question about the game post-merge because we were together the whole time. So my question is about pre-merge. What is something that OG Serpone doesn't know about OG Ruken? It could be an interesting fact about a player or something that was in the works that never came to fruition.
Ooh, gosh, let me think.
Take your time.
Yeah, and like play the Jeopardy music here.
I can look up some more
Something.
interesting information about Buc-ee's.
Yeah, list off some Buc-ee's facts. Something that y'all don't know. We legitimately did sit on the call and we all solved the clue together for the 50-50 coin. And I mean, Connor even was like, I got it, and tells us straight up, and I got it and I'm going to use it at the next thing. And I mean, we all of the times that the clues came in, we were on group calls. So I don't know. It's not very exciting, but there you go. That may be it. Sorry, I don't have a better answer.
Yeah, I mean, considering you told Mike everything, like,
yeah, I'm like, oh, I don't think I've got any secrets to tell you. We couldn't say our tribe name, and so we called ourselves RuPaul.
Okay. Next question is from Nick. Kiley, you seem to be an expert about org games in the community. Besides One World, what made this game unique or different for you?
Ooh, I think that every single time it feels like we went to tribal council, there was some type of twist, you know, whether it was the 30-minute tribal council or, you know, the two groups having to go together. It was like we were always off balance. And so I enjoyed that because it keeps you on your toes and it's a little bit harder to plan ahead when you don't know what's coming. So the twist.
Nice. Last question is from McKenna Inglis.
All right.
Kiley, thank you for introducing me to the world of Jewel E. Ann. I'm making my way through her backlist like I told you I would. I feel like a lot of our conversations that weren't about game revolved around what we were making for dinner. Mine was normally a box of mac and cheese, and yours always sounded so much better. My question is, if you had to cook or provide a meal for the entire cast of Monte Carlo, what would it be?
Oh, wow. Okay. So, I mean, I'm going to have to do something Texan probably. So, I mean,
Mailman sandwiches for everybody.
yeah, exactly. Some, you know, chopped barbecue. No, I would probably do like some Tex-Mex because Tex-Mex is the far superior cuisine in the entire world. So, you know, something Tex-Mex.
Nice. Well, thank you to all of our cast members who asked questions, gave us a lot of fun conversation.
Yeah, and feel free to post your audience questions on Kiley's post on Facebook, and then Kiley, whenever you can, feel free to answer anything and everything that everybody posts. So yeah, great answers, great questions, everyone. Thanks.
So Kiley, we like to end our exit interviews with the same two questions. Ian has one and I have one. Mine is, if you could sum up your game in one word, what would it be and why?
Hardworking.
I know it's a big question to ask at the end of working your brain for an hour.
Yeah,
so.
like a workhorse. That's what I felt like, a workhorse. Mike's workhorse. Yeah, I mean, I would say loyal, even though it may not always have come across that way. I was loyal to Mike. I was loyal to Will. And those are the two people that I really gave my word to, and I was loyal to them. And you know, I think I said it in the episode where McKenna and Victoria turned against us, and when we went in as a final five, I would have absolutely kept my word to that and been loyal to that group to the final five.
And my question, Kiley, is up from the marooning until right now when you're voted out in the game, who from the cast impressed you the most and why?
So in game, I was so impressed with McKenna. When I was voted out, I was rooting for her, wanted her to win. Um, she had never played a game before. I felt like the moves that were happening in terms of, basically her, playing us so hard, 2 rounds in a row, I felt like most of that credit needed to go to McKenna. And so at the point of me being voted off, I would say McKenna. Watching the episodes, I think I hit on it earlier, and I'm really impressed with Victoria. Definitely underestimated her, and it's been really fun getting to watch her play.
Sweet. 2 good picks.
Yeah.
Kiley, anything else that you would like to add before we sign off?
No, I had a great time. It was a really, really fun cast. It was hard to vote people off because I really did like everybody. And, that's my favorite part about orgs is that you get to meet people from all over the place. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and especially with COVID and having to be locked down so much, it's great getting to meet all different kinds of people, and especially people that, you kind of just have a built-in connection with because you're interested in this crazy game of Survivor. So thank y'all for putting on a great game and putting together a good cast.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for playing.
Yeah.
And it was fun watching you play. And you definitely have the talent of getting people to vote certain ways that you want them to vote, which is impressive to watch. And it was a blast talking about all of it with you tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Monte Carlo is just, the end is just fast approaching. We have 2 more recaps, one tomorrow on Sunday, and then one after the finale. We have 2 more episodes before the finale on Monday and Thursday, finale the following Monday on June 6th. Jesus Christ, forget the months. And and then we will crown a winner of Survivor Monte Carlo shortly after. And we have an update coming on Facebook for the fantasy game as well. We have a tiebreaker to tie break. So we'll have a couple people to tie break for the buff. And Monte Carlo is fast approaching. And thanks for watching along, and hope to see you next time for the episodes as well. See you later.